Why don't we start with you then? We can talk about where this idea came from. I know your previous film was also about a dinner party, and I'm curious, what is it about dinner parties that intrigues you, and where did this idea come from?
Dinner parties are horrifying, let's be honest. Um, I think, yeah, so this one came, I had this idea for a while about a character who is unhappy with their life and then has an opportunity to take the identity of someone else and then regrets it, which is the premise of this film. And then I was trying a few ways to make that idea work. And, you know, I had a school reunion with some people I'm from Australia, from Sydney. We went to Las Vegas, a place I'd not been before. And it was a weird experience. And I think that was the thing that jolted the framing of the two old friends meeting. And then, it was just a process of figuring out what it could be. And then once I figured out it was a dinner and he was a chef, then it was like, oh, okay. It was, piece by piece, it kind of came together.
Got it, got it. And Nick, you've been known, lately, I guess, for these edgier and darker indie film roles and even TV roles, even with Fear of the Walking Dead and whatnot. I'm curious what it is about those particular roles that intrigues you.
Yeah, I mean, those are kind of just the roles that come my way, to be honest with you. And it's kind of been like that since I was a kid. Um, I auditioned for a lot of like, when I was younger, there was this teen movie craze, from the 90s and stuff, and they didn't really cast me in those very often. I got the kind of heavier dramas and things like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, I like, in the case of this movie, I immediately liked the character a lot. I thought it was really relatable, and I could feel Ryan's struggle, right away, and I thought I definitely thought I had a lot to bring to the role, to be honest, but it was all there sort of on the page when I read it. So
Right, right. Yeah, again, I thought it was very slick and very interesting how it all moved along and spread out. Nick, you starred alongside some iconic actors like, Mel Gibson and Arnold Schwarzenegger and Coleman Domingo. And I'm curious if any of those people, what you may have learned from them, how they may have inspired you for future roles and whatnot, especially something like this.
sure. I mean, yeah, I've learned a little bit from everybody that I've worked with, I think, and had a lot of good fortune young to work with some um, really great directors, actors. Starting with like Mel Gibson when I was 12. And Yeah, I mean, I it's hard to kind of quantify, I think, but I definitely fell into some really cool projects with some great people, and yeah, I would say that you kind of pick up a little bit from all your experiences, as you go along.
Right. Right. Nicholas, were there any particular filmmakers that really inspired you to want to move into this craft and develop these kinds of stories?
Yeah, I mean, so many, right? I mean, I'm a film fan first before a filmmaker, But I think for this film, the major influence was Rope by Alfred Hitchcock, um, because you're fully aware of what's going on the whole way, and the suspense operates in the way that you're like, are they going to get, you know, is Jimmy Stewart going to find out what's going on? So that movie was like really, I was thinking about that film a lot, and also the style of that film. Our film has a similar kind of feeling, maybe like not similar, but I aspired to that kind of aesthetic. And also, David Cronenberg was like Dead Ringers and Videodrome, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely see the relation to Rope in a way. Definitely. It's interesting you mentioned that. Um, Nick, when you first the script, what really surprised you besides the obvious that we can't really talk about?
Right. Yeah, just well, let me think. I mean, it was just I thought it was a great script. And like I was saying, I really like responded to the role of Ryan, you know. And I got to go to Colombia. That was really that was pretty cool. Yeah, no, I mean, it just I just think Nick did a great job with it, and it was just a really solid story. So yeah.
Nice. The cast is really great too. Everyone really gels together, and the suspense leading up to the ending, I thought, was really well done. Um, Nick, you starred in such great films as like In the Bedroom and HBO's Carnival, and when you got into Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines, I especially as John Connor, that's such an iconic franchise. I was wondering what was going through your mind when you were entering that.
Yeah, that was really surreal for me, you know, because I grew up such a big fan of the Terminator movies, especially the second one. Um, so it was yeah, I mean, I up until that point I had done a couple of bigger films, but nothing like that. Um, so it was yeah, no, it was surreal, you know, to just to be there. I mean, you know, it's interesting as an actor, you show up and you kind of you know, you sort of do your job, you know, and that doesn't really change based on sort of the context of, you know, how big the budget is or anything like that. But but I hadn't done anything before where you just have so much time to work on scenes, you know, such a long shoot, and you can just keep doing it until you get it right. You know, there's a definitely a freedom in that. But yeah, so I don't know how to finish that answer. Did I answer your question?
I think you did. Yeah, you felt it
Okay,
was real.
cool.
I would imagine it would be because that's like a huge endeavor, that whole universe, right? Um,
Yeah.
Nicholas, can you talk about what you felt Nick brought to the role, and was there anything you were surprised about in what he brought to the role?
It's so interesting with casting is because I was thinking about who could play the role of Ryan, and there were people I was thinking of, and I was then had my IMDb up and I was going through names, and then I saw Nick's face, and I hadn't seen Nick in a while, and I started watching. I just watched Hunter x Hunter, and I watched American. What's the one you made with Steven Spielberg's DP?
American Dream.
Yes, American Dream. And I was so blown away by him. And I had this immediate sense that he was the guy. It was like, I was like, oh my God, he would say yes. I just knew it. I just was like, that's him. And I think the reason why I felt that is because the character um is a noir character for sure. You know, he's a sort of flawed but relatable character who is sort of doomed to keep kind of, he's kind of undone by his fatal flaw. And I feel like, as Nick has pointed out, people just keep going to him for these darker roles. And I think Nick has this amazing combination of relatability, but also an ability to play darkness in a way that he's not judging it. Like he's unafraid to kind of go to dark places, but he remains relatable. And I think that's incredible.
Yeah, I agree. You even leave it open for, I mean, I thought for another kind of endeavor because that last shot is
Yeah.
you don't know. I mean, you don't know what can happen. Um, Nick, I'm curious just because I love to probe deep and like get into the human psyche and whatnot. And feel free to massage how you want to answer this. But you spoke openly about moving through addiction, and I'm wondering what it is you felt really got you through that, and how you felt that experience informed some of your roles and characters.
Yeah. That's a big question. I came back to acting, I think, because I took some time off for those reasons. Um, and and I discovered that I didn't really have a life outside of film, and I'd been doing it since I was young, and it really was uh, it took up I would say a disproportionate amount of my life, my focus, my self-worth, things like that. And so it wasn't intentional necessarily, but when I stepped away for about 5 years, um, I discovered that I needed some other things in my life, and and I came back to acting because the truth is I really missed it when I wasn't doing it. And when I came back, I found that I just had a lot more appreciation um, for the work. I think I work harder at it now. I think I enjoy it more, and and I think a lot of that has to do with balance. And so those things just naturally. I mean, you're going to be better at something when you the harder you work at it for the most part. So yeah, that was definitely necessary for me to step away and and I just think I have a newfound sort of appreciation for it these days. So
Right. Right. Thank you for sharing that. Well,
sure.
one last question for Nicholas. What do you really hope audiences take away from what you wish for?
I hope that they enjoy the story and they can kind of lose themselves in a way. I mean, my hope is that the audience kind of goes on the same journey that Nick goes on, which is that they arrive in this amazing location and they have these ideas about what this could be, and they enjoy the environment that they're in, visually, and then that there's a price to pay for that, you know what I mean? And then that as the story unfolds, it becomes clear what it all means. So I hope that they go on a journey with Nick, is what I hope. And there are some ideas in the movie about where we are now, in America and the West. And if you want to look for those, they're there.
Right. Right. Well, thank you both. It's great to connect with you both, and congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.